Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Okay, so you clicked over from the short. Good. Because honestly, I left out the best part on purpose. That crashed two-letter message, L and O back in 1969? The engineers who built that system, they actually laughed about it. And I know that sounds weird, right? Like, you just built something revolutionary, and it crashes on the first try? Why would that be funny? But here's the thing. They weren't trying to send low. They were trying to send the word login. Yeah. That was the goal. Simple. Log into another computer remotely. But the system crashed after just two letters. And in that moment, someone in the room pointed out, low, kind of sounds like hello. And suddenly, that failure didn't feel like a failure anymore. It felt like a beginning. So technically, the first thing the internet ever said to the world was, low. Like a quiet little whisper. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just the smallest signal that something new had started. And what's crazy is, that tiny moment turned into the thing you're watching right now. So here's what we're getting into today. How a Cold War fear turned into the modern internet. The one decision that shaped who controls everything online. And 3 things about the internet that most people genuinely don't know, but probably should. Alright, let's get into it. To really understand this, we've got to go back. Not to 1969. Earlier. And honestly, a bit scarier. It's 1957. The Cold War is at its peak. Tension is high. The US and the Soviet Union are basically locked in a silent standoff. And then something happens that changes everything. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. Just imagine that for a second. A man-made object, floating in space, circling the Earth. At the time, that wasn't just impressive. It was terrifying. Because if they could put something into orbit, they could potentially drop something from orbit. And suddenly, the US realizes they might not be as safe as they thought. Now here's where things get really important. At that time, all US military communication systems were centralized. Meaning everything depended on a few key locations. Think of it like this, imagine a city where all the roads lead to one main highway. If that highway gets blocked, everything stops. No movement. No coordination. No response. That was the situation. And in a nuclear scenario, that's a disaster. Because if those central hubs were destroyed, the military wouldn't even be able to communicate. No commands. No coordination. Nothing. A researcher named Paul Baran looked at this and basically said, this doesn't work. This is too fragile. We need something that can survive damage. So he came up with an idea that, at the time, sounded completely insane. What if there was no center? What if, instead of one main hub, you had thousands of smaller nodes, all connected to each other? And instead of sending a message through one fixed path, you break it into pieces, and each piece finds its own way. Like traffic. If one road is blocked, you don't stop driving. You just take a different route. Automatically. No human intervention. That idea became something called packet switching. And here's the wild part. That's still exactly how the internet works today. Every time you load a video, send a message, open a website, your data isn't traveling as one single file. It's broken into tiny packets. Each one takes its own route across the network. And then, they all come back together on your device. From a Cold War survival strategy, to you watching videos on your phone. Same concept. So fast forward to 1969. The US government funds a project to actually build this system. They connect 4 computers. Just 4. UCLA, Stanford, UC Santa Barbara, and the University of Utah. That's it. That was the entire internet. 4 machines. And on October 29, 1969, they try to send the first message. Log in. You already know what happened. They got low. And then the system crashed. And somehow, that tiny, broken moment became the start of everything. Now at this point, this network is still extremely limited. It's used by researchers, by the military, by universities. Regular people? Not even close. And there's another problem. Even if you had access, most computers couldn't talk to each other. Different brands, different systems, different languages. It's like trying to have a conversation where everyone is speaking something different. Nothing connects. So in 1974, two engineers step in. Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn. And they create something that quietly becomes one of the most important inventions in human history. TCP/IP. Now that might sound technical, but here's the simple version. It's a universal language for computers. It allows any computer, anywhere, to communicate with any other computer, regardless of who built it. That's what makes the internet. The internet. Without it, everything stays isolated. With it, everything connects. So now the network can actually grow. Through the 1980s, more universities join. Email starts to exist. File transfers happen. But it's still not easy to use. There are no websites. No pages. No clicking. Just raw text. You basically have to know what you're doing to even navigate it. And then, 1991. Everything changes. A British scientist named Tim Berners-Lee introduces something new. The World Wide Web. And this is where things really shift. Because now, instead of just sending data, you can organize it. Web pages. Links. A system where you can click from one piece of information to another. Suddenly, the internet becomes navigable. Accessible. Human. And here's the part that still surprises people. He didn't try to own it. No patent. No company. No licensing fees. He just gave it away. Said, this is for everyone. Use it. That one decision changed everything. Because it meant the internet would grow openly. Not controlled by a single company. Not locked behind paywalls. But available to anyone who wanted to build something. And once that happened, things exploded. In the early 90s, browsers start appearing. People can actually see images. Click links. Explore. Then companies jump in. AOL sends CDs to homes. You've Got Mail becomes a real moment. And suddenly, millions of people are going online. Then comes the dot-com boom. Investors pour money into internet companies. Some of them have no real business model. But it doesn't matter. Everything is growing so fast. People believe anything is possible. Until 2000. And it all crashes. Billions, actually trillions, of dollars disappear. Companies shut down overnight. It looks like the internet bubble is over. But here's what most people miss. The infrastructure stayed. The cables. The servers. The protocols. Everything that actually made the internet work was still there. And on top of that foundation, something new starts to grow. Not just websites. Platforms. 2003, MySpace. 2004, Facebook. 2005, YouTube. 2006, Twitter. And this is a huge shift. Because now, the internet isn't just information. It's people. It's identity. It's interaction. You're not just consuming content. You're creating it. Sharing it. Living inside it. And then, another shift. 2007. The iPhone. 2008. Android. Now the internet isn't something you sit down to use. It's always with you. In your pocket. Every moment of every day. And that changes everything again. Because now attention becomes constant. Unlimited. And that leads us to where we are now. TikTok. And this is one of the biggest shifts in how the internet works. Before TikTok, everything was based on who you follow. You follow people. You see their content. Simple. But TikTok flipped that. It doesn't care who you follow. It cares what you watch. How long you watch it. If you replay it. If you skip it. It studies your behavior. And builds a system around your attention. So instead of you finding content, content finds you. And now every platform is copying this. Instagram. YouTube. Facebook. Everything is becoming algorithm driven. And that changes something deeper. It changes who controls what you see. What you watch. What you think about. So when you look back at this whole journey, from 1957 to now, it's kind of unbelievable. A Cold War fear. A system designed to survive nuclear attacks. Turned into the most powerful communication tool in human history. And it all started with LOW. 2 letters. A crash. And a room full of engineers. Laughing. And honestly, we're still in the middle of this story. It's still evolving. Still changing. Still shaping the world in ways we don't fully understand yet. So here's what I'm curious about. If you had to pick one moment in this entire timeline, the moment that changed everything, what would it be? Was it the creation of ARPANET? The invention of TCP/IP? Tim Berners-Lee giving away the web? The iPhone? Or maybe TikTok's algorithm? There's no wrong answer. But once you start thinking about it, you realize something. The internet isn't just technology. It's decisions. And those decisions shape everything that comes after. And next, what comes after this? Because there's something being built right now that might change the internet again, just as much as the web did. And when it hits, this version of the internet might look primitive. We'll get into that next. If you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe to IQ Tech Nova for more tech tips.